Good morning, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to the Research AI Summit 2025, a dynamic gathering where brilliant minds from across disciplines come across to explore the frontiers of artificial intelligence, open science, and collaborative innovation. To mark the auspicious beginning of the summit, I would like to warmly invite all the dignitaries to kindly come forward for the traditional lamp lighting ceremony, a symbol of learning, enlightenment, and new beginnings. I would like to call on stage Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Director of NIPGR. Thank you, everyone. To set the stage for this workshop, can I please invite Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Director of NIPGR, to deliver the welcome address? Yes, please. Can I please call Dr. Debashish Chattopadhyay, Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, Dr. Narendra Mehra, Dr. Debashish Mohanty, and Dr. Akhilesh Jha on the stage, please. Also, Dr. Francis Crowley. Sorry. Can you please come on the stage?
All right, so good morning, everyone. I welcome you all at our National Institute of Plant Genome Research. And now it is the BRIC NIPGR, probably you know that 14 institute under the Department of Biotechnology, they merged to form the Biotechnology Research and Innovation Council. So we are now BRIC NIPGR. And we welcome you to this deliberation as a part of the Research AI Summit. And the theme is the Bridging Innovations and Open Science, that is being held jointly in collaboration with the BRIC NII, our neighboring institute, Indian National Science Academy, National Committee for Co-Data for India, and the Coalition of Advancing Research Assessment, the COARA's Ethics and Research Integrity Policy for Responsible Research Assessment in Data and Artificial Intelligence. It's a quite big name. And IRIP and the working group. And I welcome the dignitaries on the dais and in the auditorium. Now, NIPGR, very short history, who doesn't know about the NIPGR? NIPGR was established in 1998. So it is running for almost 27 years. And we do the plant science and some application of plant science in agriculture. And as you know, the name is National Institute of Plant Genome Research. We do a lot of DNA sequencing now recently. Not recently, in last decades, we are also doing the proteomics and the metabolomics. So a lot of data we generate. So it has relevance with this summit. And let me confess that I didn't know anything about this summit until last week. Gitanjali asked in my office and said that we need to host this meeting. So I came to know about this. So pardon me that I didn't know. I am a totally data illiterate person. I am doing genome sequencing for last 20 years, and the maximum sharing of data what I did is to submit the data to NCBI. That's what I did, the sharing of the data. So, but I came to know the importance of the data sharing, and India is host the 1/6 of the world's population, and probably the most diverse nation in terms of population and nature. So we have a potential to generate 1/6 of the total data generated in the world. And what I know today that the data is money, and data is for our safety and security. So we must store it, and if required, share it legitimately, ethically, and transparently. So I think this summit is all about that, how to share the data legitimately, transparently, and ethically. And although we are such a vast nation, but we do not store our data mostly. All the data storage platforms are placed abroad. Google, Facebook, email, WhatsApp, all the big storage facilities are abroad. We do not store our data. We manufacture the data, they store our data, they analyze it, and they teach us. So it is a dire need for us, at least who are in this biological science, that we should store our data, analyze it, and we keep it for our protection and for our use and share it with the other countries. So we need to generate a lot of storage facility and analytical facilities also. And this comes, resonates well with this Bio-E3 policy approved recently by the government of India, and which is Bio-E3 is for the biotechnology for economy, environment, and employment. And the data is also part of the economy now today, these days. So, and the heart of this Bio-E3 policy is the Bio-AI hubs, which one of the most important enabler that will build the capacity and analyze and store and use it for our economy and safety. And I'm very happy to know that we have established recently the National Plant Computational Biology and Bioinformatics platform, which is for the public. We will soon open it for the public, which is the cloud computing facility and a lot of storage of that. And the custodian of our biological data storage is the IBDC, the Indian Biological Data Center. I hope that Deepak Nair will be speaking online, right? Yes, Deepak. And I think, okay, they'll be in person. So at least we have started and we progress with it. And in addition to that we have the do-it-yourself session of the AI-assisted precision research that is envisaged for under both the Bio-E3 policy as well as the national educational policy, that we have to disseminate whatever we know to the younger generation so that they can take part in this journey. So about NIPGR, that we instill in a passion for the science and technology among the younger generation and creating knowledge and disseminate the knowledge. So I welcome all the younger generation in this gathering. So last of all, I would say that we arranged this summit in a very short period of time. So if there is any problem, then you blame it to me and Gitanjali. So I hope that will not give any chance to you to complain about it. So whatever required, so please tell us and go ahead with this summit. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that warm welcome. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Gitanjali Yadav, Senior Scientist at NIPGR, to give us a brief introduction to the summit.
Good morning, everyone. I put together a small speech to be delivered here, but I hear a little echo in my voice. Is everybody here able to hear me? Brilliant. So, honorable guests, distinguished speakers on the dais, esteemed colleagues of mine, and particularly today's participants, our young students. It is my great honor to stand before you and give you the genesis of this summit that brings together an extraordinary community of people online as well as offline, united by a shared commitment to shape the future of research through the powerful convergence of artificial intelligence, open science, and responsible research assessment. These are the three things that we will be addressing today. We gather here at a pivotal moment. Artificial intelligence is no longer a promise on the horizon. It is a stage of the research cycle, from discovery and data curation to peer review, as well as, and more importantly, policy making. Yet, with this great power comes also great responsibility, where we must ensure that our systems are not only technically robust, but also ethically grounded, inclusive, and transparent. This Research AI Summit, therefore, is designed to meet this pivotal moment. Over the next 2 days, you're going to hear and you're going to engage, more importantly, in sessions that address the data deluge in education, fair data infrastructures, open innovation systems, and the changing landscape of academic assessment and evaluation. You will hear from pioneers in AI, Coera, DORA leaders, and collaborative international platforms like Open Air and Semantic Climate, of course, that we have co-founded together between me and my collaborators in India and the UK. Together, we hope to explore how India can not only lead in data, but also in data stewardship, AI ethics, and responsible innovation. Above all, our role is to empower you young people to change the direction of the world. That is the central point of this summit. You will see young people who are all around you. You are already seeing young people who are rapidly learning new skills in the AI age. We promote learning by doing. And during these 2 days, that is one very important aspect of what we are going to do. We will build tools and values of a self-reproducing system. If a young person attends this workshop and this summit and gets inspired, then they can enthuse others, and then the flame spreads. The current educational systems in much of the world emphasize hierarchical learning, hierarchical teaching as well. We, on the other hand, want to emphasize on communal learning. One of our most incredible interns, Ayush, who is not here with us today, he was 15 years old. He's an Indian student in the school. When he came us, he sought us out and he said, I have to work with you. And with us, he worked during his summer vacation. His internship work done many years ago lives on because the software that he built self-replicates. Modern technology means that anyone can technically reach anyone else. But the reality is very different. The reality is that knowledge is controlled and knowledge is not free. And this is what some of us know as knowledge neocolonization. Our only measure of success today as researchers is the dreaded impact factor. What is the impact factor? It's an individual metric, a capitalist metric for individual recognition. Scholarly publishing, as we know, has entirely broken beyond repair. And the world of knowledge is therefore in chaos, and we have to form a team, and we have to promote our values and resist this juggernaut of extractive surveillance capitalism. This meeting, this summit, is therefore an important step in this process, and it would not have been possible without CODATA. CODATA, the Committee of Data in the International Science Union, is a very important organization which promotes truth and trust in knowledge dissemination. Serendipitously, it was CODATA India that brought me together with Peter and many other like-minded fellow colleagues, Shandar Ahmed, Debashish Mohanty, 13 years ago at SciDataCon, which we held in Jawaharlal Nehru right here in New Delhi, Jawaharlal Nehru University, right here in New Delhi. The only approach that we now have is to build something radically new for the 21st century. I think that knowledge is restricted to the rich universities, the richest of rich organizations, priests, and there are gatekeepers who decide who can access what you can see and who will decide how much you will pay to access that knowledge. Open software, open science, we can fight the monopolists and we can win through open notebook science. This is what we intend to do. This is what we intend to spread. The battle will go on, but I think we are going to have a lot more success stories than we've had now. There is no incentive today to use modern technology. Publishers have not innovated in the last 50 years. The only innovation, of course, they have is in making new walled gardens. And this must be a weakness that we as knowledge experts, academicians, can exploit. And therefore, leadership is what we need. And this summit is going to provide exactly that. I cannot see a smooth evolutionary path, but I do hope that the change is non-violent. Non-violence, of course, because after all, this nation rose and grew in the aura of Gandhi, the father of our nation. And in the spirit of Gandhi, therefore, I am glad to emphasize that this summit is also going to be the birthplace of something very new, the formal launch of the Indian Research Assessments Forum, the IRAF, that is going to be serving as a national platform to reimagine the research assessment in the 21st century, moving beyond impact factors and towards values that reflect diversity, collective nature, collaboration, and societal relevance. Therefore, I encourage all of you to let this summit be a forum for ideas, a platform for partnerships. So don't just listen, but please contribute, please question, please imagine what a truly responsible and equitable AI-powered research ecosystem should look like today and in the future, particularly from an Indian perspective. And therefore, as we move into the rest of this summit, I encourage you to carry the spirit of these discussions that you're going to face. Be open, be ethical, be collaborative, and be innovative. Let us learn together, act together, build together in this research ecosystem that is truly fair and future ready. Thank you very much, and I hope we will have an enriching summit.
Thank you, ma'am. It is with great excitement that I now invite Dr. Narendra Mehra, President of India CODATA, to deliver the opening remarks.
Thank you very much. I have not come to this campus many, many times, but whenever I come, I find this campus beautiful. One can breathe here at least. That is why it's called the NIPPGR. I come from AIMS, and there's hardly a place over there to breathe. When I was a student over there, of course, there were open spaces, but now everything is taken away. So your campus looks beautiful to me, and I'm so very grateful to Gitanjali to call me over here. I'm standing here as a representative of INSA, as a Vice President, International Affairs of INSA. Some of my younger colleagues over here may not know what is INSA. INSA is the Indian National Science Academy, which was established way back in 1935 with the goal of promoting science in India and applying scientific knowledge for the benefit of humanity. The academy also nurtures science in India, identifies talent in India. We sort of give what are called INSA fellows, to become an INSA fellow, and you should all, whosoever is in the field of science, you should aim at attaining the fellowship of INSA. We have now also started associate fellowship as well. And many of young guys can also become members of the Indian National Young Academy of Sciences. Now, INSA is the internationally adhering academy of India. It really maintains contacts with most of the international scientific unions and associations like the World Academy of Sciences, the Inter Academy Partnership, International Science Council, and many others over there. I'm also trying to learn data science and data literacy, like you said. You know, in 2022, as Vice President International Affairs of INSA, I was taking part in the meeting of the BRICS. BRICS, as you know, is the 5 countries, but now it has expanded to many, many more. It was Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And China was the chair of BRICS. And they came up with the science topic, big data sharing. I didn't understand. What is this big data sharing? So we had to anyway get in touch with the Ministry of External Affairs. They said, because the draft that China made, that draft was really picked up by the Ministry of External Affairs, and they sent it to about 17 or 18 departments of Government of India. And I thought there is something really, it was a 1.5 page draft. They wanted to look at every word of it because the topic was big data sharing. That really ignited interest in me. And, you know, the INSA also has at least 20 national committees actually, whose job is to promote science. And this is constituted of very eminent fellows of INSA. And they also made me the chairman for the INSA National Committee on Co-Data. And I have been trying to learn since then, what is co-data, what is data science, what is data literacy. But now I'm convinced that the future is data sharing. As Dr. Gitanjali also said, data sharing is going to be the big thing. You saw that in 2023, US came up with this chat GPT, and China actually came very close. They had their own sort of powerful chatbot, DeepSeek. And I'm just trying to understand that India is also trying to work very hard to come onto that. And we are in fact looking forward to hearing from you, Dr. Jha, India's efforts on the what is called the large language model on the data sharing. Fortunately, we have a number of people in India. You know, the IT sector in India is booming, in fact. And you saw that the number of startups. In 2014, we had only 100 startups in India. Today, we have more than 140,000. Of course, more than half of them are in the health field. But I also see that several of them, several thousands of them, are in the AI sector now. AI sector is booming actually. And you know, my own colleagues, the doctors at AIMS, who were earlier not very keen to include AI in their day-to-day service, now they're getting convinced that AI is the future there. So I think from that point of view, this conference is really very well placed for us all to learn about data science and data literacy there. I'm so glad that many of the young guys are here and they would actually use this as a tool in their career as well. Thank you so much, Gitanjali, for calling me over here, and I look forward to hearing all the deliberations over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. It is with great pleasure that I now invite Dr. Debashish Mohanty, Director of the National Institute of Immunology, to share a few words with us.
Okay. Good morning. Let me thank Dr. Chattopadhyay and Dr. Gitanjali to really organize this meeting, which is very timely, and all the major work is done by them. They have just listed NII or other things. But what is important, glad to see, is a lot of young people have come from outside, and this is really required at this time. If you, those of you who know of the last Nobel Prize in Physics and Biology, both the Nobel Prizes have gone to area which is closely linked to it. And in this area, you require a transdisciplinary thinking. You have to go out of your comfort zone, think what is happening in other area and how to use it effectively. So the Physics Nobel Prize went for people when they wanted to solve a problem, they thought it was a biologically inspired computing. Instead of just using the laws of physics, they thought how our brain works, and they made neural networks or something. And for the biology, Nobel Prize went to protein structure prediction. And if you want to know the example of data-driven research, Protein Data Bank is the most widely open data source. It is right from the beginning. Every crystallographer who solves a structure puts it in the Protein Data Bank, and it is completely open, very well curated. It has come over right from the day the first protein structure was solved in late 70s, that has been. And because of this data, of course, it required the AIE and other things, but because of this data, this challenging problem, which was thought for many years, this is unsolved problem, this could be solved. And this is probably just the example, but each one of us or many of you use this data-driven research in your own. I think all the speakers before me were very modest. I feel like Devasi said that, oh, I just I just generate data, I don't use it, but that's not true. Why is he generating data? He's analyzing that and to address some questions in plant biology. And Professor Mehra has led the transplant immunology department of All India Institute of Medical Science. And when you come to organ transplant, what is required is HLA polymorphism. That is a very rich source of data, and his lab has contributed to a huge source of data in that area. And I should also mention it, like 20 years back when I started my lab, almost 25 years back, when Gitanjali joined my lab, the entire NII was full of experimentalists, and we were trying to solve some problem. Can you use genome to predict what sort of antibiotics, secondary metabolites, this? And if you tell this problem to anybody else, they would say, hey, how can you do this? It's not feasible to predict. But we used data. She was one of the brave ones to take up this project, choosing among all the other experimental projects available in NII, and she did it successfully in this area. Her paper is cited as one of the first, the computational approach to prediction of secondary metabolites and all. So I think I would not take much time. And this is, of course, the students, you should learn how to think and why data is important and how do you analyze. And one more thing, if you read the newspaper of today, Satya Nadella's statement, because the question is typically coming now, ChatGPT is doing everything. So do you really need to learn programming? If you remember his statement today, you probably don't need to, or you can manage without programming, but you should have a programmatic thinking. So you should know how to break the problem into logical groups and which like AI's tool to use. And that all requires to go deep into the data, understand how is data, and that is why the role of CoData comes. CoData is one of the earliest organizations, much before AI and other things came in the International Scientific Society. ICSU, CoData Committee of Data, is one part of it. And that's what Francis Curley is presenting that. And they are the ones, as Gitanjali said, brought the FAIR principles and all these things. And they also, all of you probably do not know, all the constants of physics which are given, and they are also monitored by CoData, because these constants have to be linked to data and they periodically changed. What is the value of Planck's constant, how many decimal places and all, that is deeply linked to the data. This is a very important organization, and we will have other sessions to talk. And data is not only in the scientific domains, it is also in the government. And that's why Dr. Jha is also going to talk about, like, government has our open data and all scientific departments have data. And this is a very important point. If you, those of you who do not know, a resource for Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodb. So now NIH stopped funding for Plasmodb. Now they have made whatever you are accessing for free, you have to pay for it. So it is very important from the policy point of view, we become stakeholders in the global data, like NCBI, PDB. Saurabh is here. He hosted the biocuration conference for international for the first time in India. So the government should also come forward and contribute to this. So tomorrow, if some policy, global policy changes, they say you cannot access it, we have a stake in that data. Either we have our own data, or that data, what is there, will be equally available to others. With this, I stop, and thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It is now my pleasure to invite Dr. Akhilesh Jha, Ministry of Rural Affairs, Government of India, to deliver the inaugural lecture on India's data leadership.
Namaskar and good morning to everyone. Speaking in my Gitanjali so that people can hear me better. Uh, so I think about 33 years ago, I was in JNU and I was doing something which you will not believe. I was doing literature. I did my master's in Hindi literature. And I never thought that I'll be at NIPGR someday and speaking on data. So this is what civil services does to you. So I did literature. I got into accounts, which is nothing but data. And then from accounts, I was exploring the world of governance and going through ministry to ministry. I landed up in Ministry of Science and Technology about 8 years ago. And I could not believe the science of selection by government, that how you can put somebody who never studied science in Ministry of Science and Technology, taking all kind of critical decisions. So life teaches you, and life teaches you with data. And the topic that Dr. Gitanjali Yadav has given to me is something with leadership. So before we get into the data, let me begin with the concept of leadership. You keep hearing a term in India that is Vishwaguru. India is Vishwaguru, India has become Vishwaguru, India is going to be Vishwaguru. So Guru is not a leader. No, Guru is somebody who takes you from the darkness to the light of wisdom. That is the concept of Guru. Guru is not leader. Guru is somebody who takes you from your ignorance to an informed decision. So being a guru is not something to be very proud of. This is a very sensible act. A guru is somebody who makes you humble. A guru is somebody who makes you more accountable. In leadership, what you see today in this world is very disturbing. No, either you will impose a lot of tariffs, or you will start killing people, you will engage in war. That is what leadership is today. So we have to be very sensible in choosing the word that we choose today. If we want to become Vishwaguru, Vishwaguru is all about getting out of the world of ignorance. Ignorance can be bliss, but not always. And what I see the possible role as Vishwaguru for India is if you become a knowledge economy. If you are in true sense a Vishwaguru, you should be an IPR economy. You should be a knowledge economy. And that knowledge is driven by data, right? So as speakers were sharing their thoughts that about 15% of data that this world generates comes from India, and that is just because of the sheer number of people and the landmass that we own as being a country called India. I'll give you some examples. I'll not give you theory, and I call myself not a data scientist because I can't be a data scientist. I'm a data artist. I know how to put data. I know how to put data in a framework that will attract people to the subject that I'm visualizing a kind of dashboard for them, like what I have done in government in last 30 years in government is that I have put data in a manner which can make sense for everyone, from a policymaker to a politician to a member of parliament or to the common citizen. So in science too, what you do with data is not just your a kind of IPR, which you will use for writing some papers or doing some PhD or postdoctoral. If that makes sense for common people, I think that is more acceptable to people. I'll give you an example. When I was in Ministry of Science and Technology, my department didn't know what is the state of SNT infrastructure in this country. And I'm giving you this fact with all sincerity. So I did a basic kind of dashboard and showed it to my own people in the ministry that you are putting all your money into just 25 institutions of this country. And rest of the institutions, they don't have any fund for even basic procurement of a beaker even. So we did a dashboard for my program division. I made a dashboard for my secretary. I made a dashboard for Government of India. And then they gave special calls for the states where they had not given even a single rupee, say, in last 3 years. A state like Bihar, you'll not believe that in last 10 years, the amount they have got is about 92 crores, and more than half has gone to IIT Patna. So since IIT Patna had gone to Patna, so some money had gone. If you go to the colleges and universities of Bihar, they have not received even single paisa in last, say, 30 years, 40 years. Similar state of affair was in Chhattisgarh. Similar state of affair was in Madhya Pradesh, in many other states. So data is not just what you try to write your research paper. Data is all about, that is called policy decision. So evidence is data, and data is nothing but the transaction points which makes all our acts accountable. So I'll not talk anything on scientific data, that is data of science, but all other kind of data. I'll give you 2 more examples. I was in Ministry of External Affairs for 3.5 years. And can you think of a phrase that accounting aid to diplomacy? Can somebody think of accounting aid to disaster management? We would have never thought of this concept. So in diplomacy, what is the role of accounts? So we created a platform called IMAS, Integrated Mission Accounting System. Your missions and posts, which are there all over the world, they create some kind of data. What all you do in diplomacy, not just issue passport and visa. No, diplomacy is much beyond that. But accounting data gave an insight to Government of India that how much resources you are putting in for diplomacy and how much for non-diplomacy. So what they discovered is that more than 70–80% data resources were used for non-diplomatic purposes. So, and those deployment of resources were to do something which was a clerical job. It was not diplomatic job. So we automated many systems, and after putting that system in place, it was reversed. So 70–80% resources were used for diplomacy. So data helps government in taking right kind of decision, whether it is diplomacy or disaster management. I'll give you another example of accounting aid to disaster management. So there was a major disaster in Bhopal, if you remember, gas leak disaster. And then government decided to give some kind of ex gratia to the people who were affected. And a lot of corruption were reported. All our newspapers are full of the stories of malpractices. It was all about giving them money. And for releasing the money, there were some preconditions. No, you should have this from hospital, from municipality, and all that. And then they had to hire some advocate to plead their cases. No, so if you're going to get, say, 1 lakh rupees, you will end up paying half of the amount to the lawyer. So as an accountant, we developed a system through which our judges had nothing to just press a button that is print, and an order sheet will come. They will sign it and money will be released. So there was no need of lawyer. Everything was automated. All data were put to the place that they should have been there. And that data was also used for cancer research, because the kind of data that we collected from all the health setups and other things, cancer and many other problems that was infested in Bhopal after that tragedy. So that data is being used by health department also. But I'll give you another side of the story. When did this, people who are there to get into corruption, what they decided, they influenced the judges that the kind of cash that is coming to society that will create a kind of inflation in the city. So what they should do is they should have fixed deposit for this thing. So if they're going to get 5 lakhs, so 4,50,000 will be fixed deposit in bank, and 1,000 will be liquid to that. And to get that RD unfreezed, that fixed deposit unfreezed, again approach to court through a lawyer and do. So again, we had to take some other measure and do that. So we have to keep countering people who don't data. That is what I'm trying to say. Responses from the field formation. But if you know how to deal with data and how to get better results of data, you will be doing good service to the nation. I'll give you another example. I was in Ministry of Science and Technology seeking some budget for science and DST, DBT, and DSIR. And the current Cabinet Secretary, Dr. T.V. Somanathan, is one of the finest officers I have ever worked with. He was our Secretary Expenditure. And in the budget meeting, we were proposing some new scheme, which was seeking about 4,000 to 5,000 crores. And what he said to us, that the kind of research you do in science is not of any help to us. So we were all shocked and taken aback what he's saying. Then he said, you do some research which is not reducing my fertilizer subsidy. You're doing some research which is not reducing my food subsidy. So if you do some research which this country needs, the society needs, so he said, my fertilizer subsidy is, say, about 2 lakh crores. It is quite a number. So if you reduce it by half, you take 1 lakh crore, you are seeking just 4,000 crore, I'll give you 1 lakh crore if you reduce my fertilizer subsidy by half. So what he was referring to is that science can't go its own way. No, science has to be accountable to society. It has to be aligned with the time that we are living in and the future that is ahead. So all this leads to some kind of data strategy in science, the kind of research that we do in the lab, and what is the impact of that lab research in the society at large. And if you can correlate things, if you can take these data to the policymakers, I think you will have more funds, more acceptability for getting budgets in whatever sector you are dealing with. I was listening to Dr. Mehra, and I was taking myself to INSA, International Science Academy, which hosts me every year for playing gramophone. Uh, so I've been playing gramophone for last, I think, 40 years. For last 25 years, I just take gramophone and play for people and give them some kind of stories. 10 years ago, I realized that my collection is hardly 10% of whatever India had produced on gramophone records. So the grooves are nothing but data. No? It's, something which was captured, say, 100 years ago, or 120 years ago, or 125 years ago. And that has something which is very meaningful. I'll give you an example. There are some comic records in Bangla where they're talking about hospitals. They're talking about judiciary. They're talking about police. They're talking about all that. And you will see the same kind of problem happening even today, 2025. We have not learned anything. The problem that people were facing 125 years ago, what Muhammad Hussain has given on gramophone records, same kind of problem we are facing in hospitals. So I thought of doing a research on how to create virtual groups. The data that is there, can you think of a virtual group? It is not digitizing sound. It is recreating the grooves virtually. The groove that is there physically on a shellac plate, if you can create virtually that thing, and then you create a virtual stylus and you play at 78 revolution per minute, it creates same kind of sound. You are playing with data. And this has, I can't tell you how much potential of money that is lying there in this field. So we are doing some research with IIT Madras and National Institute of Design, Ahmedabad. And we are hopeful that by next year we'll have something, a prototype, which will not only just create a virtual twin of the records, but it will also create a kind of data which will help us create the missing parts of gramophone records. What we get normally, some are broken, some pieces are not there. So if you have played, say, 20,000, 25,000 records virtually, you have created some kind of data set. It will recreate the missing parts of it so that you can listen to what Gandhiji said in his speeches, which are not now available on gramophones, some of the gramophones. What Sarojini Naidu said in her speeches in London, which are now missing. What was there in 1942 on Congress radio, which was captured by British forces and that were never released. So you can create because some portion of it is available. What I'm trying to say through all these stories is that data is very interesting. Data is not boring. Data is not something which we should fear about. And storage and other things, these are issues, but main issue is how fair you are in sharing data, how honest you are in sharing data. And honesty is only one-way thing. People expect this is both-way thing. It is one-way thing. So as long as you are honest, as long as you are there to share, you should not be fearful of anything what is happening to our data outside. And today, no one can dare think that they will pool in data for their own benefit. No? Data is, I think, out of our control, out of many such entities, from Google, from all these things. They are developing models, but data is everywhere. And people have created many clones, even unknown to the owners of the data. So you just create an environment where you treat data as evidence, where you love data, and where you think how to share data. And there, my own take on this thing, that data is also an art. Data is not just science. How to share data, how to make it look visibly appealing enough so that people come back again and again to your dashboards or the kind of visualization that you have created. You see today, if you go to UPI, they have created a kind of dashboard Every day every month you can say how much money you have spent on what thing. If it was not visually appealing, you would not have gone and seen. You will not go to rows and columns. No? When it is aggregated and it is shown in a kind of KPI format, you love that thing. So even scientific data, whatever you do research in your this thing, publish your paper, which is very scientific, but also make it something which can be read in Indian Express or the Hindu or Hindustan or Nabhai Times. That is also equally important. So in the interest of time here and my own interest, I'll stop here. I would have loved to share my dashboards, which would have made more sense to you that what I did and how this impacted public policy, but Gitanjali chose otherwise. But maybe next time, whenever there's an opportunity, I'll be there sharing my dashboards. Thank you, and thanks for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those thought-provoking insights. To formally conclude this inaugural session, I would now like to invite Dr. Francis Crawley, member of International Data Policy, CUDATA, Quora ERIP, to deliver the vote of thanks.
It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here with you. And also to give a word of thanks. I think very often in life, giving thanks is one of the best things you can do. I'm coming from Belgium. It's a very small country. Very small part of something of Delhi it would fit into. I always feel like when I come to India, I'm coming to this enormously rich country, this beautiful nature, wonderful food, very good tea, of course. But most importantly, wonderful people. And in my professional capacity, I always feel like when I come to India, I'm coming to the future and leaving a bit of the past behind in Europe or in America. I just want to invite you during this summit, this research summit on AI, to not only look inside the room, but look outside the room. And I can tell you, there's a lot of people outside the room who are not here, who are looking inside this room and really wondering and really curious about what's going to happen here. The center of research assessment today is probably in Europe, because Europe has given the most incentive for doing it, having it. Also in the US, we see it. Also a bit in Latin America, we see it. Maybe a bit in China too. Probably in Russia too, if we knew more. If you change research assessment, you will change science and you will change higher education. And we have to do that if we want science and higher education that's fit for purpose. And India is the place to do that. The Center for Research Assessment will move to India. I'm sure what we start here in these 2 days, this will be the center. And it's being started in the right way too. So I really want to thank Dr. Jita and her entire team and these dignitaries here, and all of you and the people online for this really exciting begin, because this is a huge beginning. And I think it's something we should all be grateful for and appreciative.